And it's recording. Here we go. Exercise 2B. So today is going to be about parallel line properties. Now, exercise 2B, arguably in chapter 2, I find that a lot of year 8s and year 7s tend to forget this property and find it hard to apply. So the harder type of questions do rely a lot of knowledge about identifying these 4 properties. Okay, so there's 4 of them here. Remember, this homework's not due until the end of next week. By the end of this week, all I need is exercise 2A, which we did yesterday. Okay, so we'll recap some of those things in a moment. But today, I'm going to get you to copy the notes first, and then we'll do a recap of what you did yesterday so that you can start finishing off exercise 2A and there's less homework. Okay?
Wait, are we going to do exercise 2B today?
We are doing 2B today if you happen to finish 2A, but make 2A your priority. B could be a bit tricky. Here we go. So let's fill in the notes here. Your parallel properties, there are 4 key terms that you must remember. These are the names. Number 1 is called corresponding angles. The next one is called co-interior. Co-interior. Co-interior angles. Number 3 is called alternate angles. And number 4 is what you learnt yesterday. Starting with V, vertically. Opposite, very good. Now I gave you a little chart down here to help you remember which or how to identify the 4 types, okay? So yesterday, 4, vertically opposite, was usually the easiest one. To me, it's one of the easiest ones to figure out. It's the other 3 that you need to learn. So here we go. I created a chart for you to help you remember, and I called it same versus different. Yeah? And notice that number 1 and number 2, they both have the same letter. They both start with a C. Okay? So in here, I want you to write corresponding. If they're on the same, so under the same column, they're corresponding, and the other one must then be co-interior. So when we're talking about parallel lines, we draw a line with an arrow, okay? So if you draw an arrow in one line and you draw another line with the same arrow, just one arrow, you're saying these 2 are parallel. Parallel lines never cross because they run at the same angle or same sort of gradient, so that's why they never cross. We have a line that crosses through them. This is called, and there's a special name for it, and it was part of your readiness task, so some of you might have known it, some of you don't. But the name for this line that cuts through a parallel line, pairs a parallel line, is called a transversal line. Okay, so if you saw that is part of your readiness, that's what that refers to. Transversal line is the line that cuts through the 2 parallel lines. So, the study of parallel properties requires that you notice there are certain special angles that is considered corresponding or co-interior or alternate or vertically opposite, because, and notice how I said same and different? When I say same, I'm referring to if you see 2 angles that is on the same side of the transversal line. So notice when I draw that transversal line, there's a left side of it and there's a right side of it. True? So left side of the transversal line, right side of the transversal line. So if I draw 2 angles, so I'll draw an angle as an example. That's the angle of the horizontal line and the green line. Yeah, so the green line and the horizontal line makes this angle. That's on one side. It's on the left side. If I draw a second angle that is also on the left side, so like this, you have a potential that this is either corresponding or co-interior. Now, I obviously drew it so that it is going to be corresponding. So how are you going to remember? 1, it's on the same side. Okay, so it needs to be on the same side of the transversal line. So they're both on the left right now. Okay, so not only are they on the same side, how do you know if it's corresponding? I gave you some tips here. If it's on the top of the first line, so notice how the angle's on the top of the first line. So this line here, it's on the left side, but it's also on top. As long as it's on top, of the bottom line. Okay. So top with top, bottom with bottom. Now, what do I mean by that? If I had another angle, let's call it, I'll do it in red now. See how I did another angle here? The angle between the blue line and this green line, it's an acute angle. But that one there, it's on the bottom of the second line. It's on the left side of the transversal line. Yeah? If I did another angle, that's on the left as well, but it's also on the bottom. Can you see that? So these two are yellows. They're on top, top, top. Bottom with bottom. That's what we mean by corresponding, because corresponding means that whatever you do to one, the other one does the same, right? So this is on the bottom of the first line, then the next angle must be on the bottom of the second line. These two are then corresponding. Okay, so if I gave them letters, or I'll give them numbers, for example, let's call this 1. These two must be the same. This angle 2, these two angles must be the same. Okay, so write that down. So they need to be on the same side of the transversal line. That's why it's under the column same. If it's on the same side of the transversal line, you only got corresponding or co-interior. But how do you know it's corresponding? Well, check. Is it top with top? Is it bottom with bottom? If it's top with top, it's corresponding. If it's bottom with bottom, it's corresponding. Okay, so here, if it is corresponding, then both angles are, write this in, equal. So in this this example, I only did the left side, but you could also do it on the right side as well. You could also have, now I'll do it in purple, I could say this angle here, which I'll use 3 lines to show. So 1, 2, 3. Sorry, that's a bit too big. 1, 2, 3. That angle here is on the bottom, on the right side. Yes, so it's on the right side, but it's on the bottom of the first line. So if I wanted a corresponding angle, I would have to do bottom of the second line. See how they're both bottom? And they're both on the right side? So they're both on the same side, and it's bottom with bottom. That's corresponding. So that means this number here, whatever this angle is, that will be the same angle as this one. So far, okay? Okay, so corresponding gets tricky for the first time. If you haven't learnt it in year 7, first time it can be tricky. But this chart will help you determine which of the 4 you have. Now, co-interior in my mind is the second easiest one. So you had vertically opposite from yesterday. Co-interior is the second easiest one. So how does it work? Same thing again. I'm going to draw my transversal line. So here's my transversal line. It cuts the parallel line into 2 sections, one on the left, one on the right. Now this one's easy to remember because what does interior mean? Inside. So you got parallel lines here. Remember, this is the right side. This is the left side. The angles that are inside the parallel lines, but also on the same side of the transversal line, is co-interior. So what's some example? Here. This angle's on the right side. If I draw another angle that is also on the right side, so both of them on the right side, but notice they're both inside, because interior means inside, right? So they're both inside the parallel lines. These two are called co-interior. So they both have to be on the same, so again, fill it in, same side, so they both need to be on the same side of the transversal line, so both on the right. Now, unlike corresponding was top with top, bottom with bottom. This is not top with top, bottom with bottom. This one's on the top of the second line, this one's on the bottom of the first line. See that? So they're different. They're not corresponding, they're co-interior, because they're inside the parallel lines. They're inside the parallel lines. And both of them, now, because they're both inside the parallel lines, they are co-interior. Now, if they're co-interior, this is the only one property that is slightly different as well. If they are co-interior, then both angles are supplementary. Now, last session, this is one of your turns. What does supplementary mean again? Hands up if you remember. What's supplementary, Belinda? Beautiful. So have you forgotten what supplementary is? It's when they both add up to 180. If they add up to 90, what is that called again? Complementary. It starts with C. Okay, so complementary is they add up to 90. But co-interior, they will add up to 180. So how is co-interior different to corresponding? Remember, corresponding angles are equal. Co-interior angles are not equal. Co-interior is that these two angles must add up to 180. So for example, if I told you that this acute angle here was 60 degrees, that angle there must be what? 120, because they have to add up to 180, yeah? So 120, that's co-interior. Now in a parallel line, there's a right side and there's a left side. So I just did the example for the right side, but you can have a left side as well. So on the left side, this one here is co-interior to this one. Both inside the parallel lines, and they're both on the left side. Okay, so same side of the transversal line, and they're both inside the parallel lines. That's when it's co-interior. And that's why this chart will help you remember which one is corresponding and which one is co-interior. Corresponding is top with top, bottom with bottom. Both have to be on the same side. Co-interior have to be both on the same side, but they have to be inside the parallel lines. Easiest way to remember it, interior means inside. Okay? Very good. Once you can figure out corresponding versus co-interior, the last two is easier to figure out too. Here we go. Let's fill in the notes. So, notice this is under the column different. Why is it under column different? Because if I draw the transversal line now, this is when both angles are not on the same side of the transversal line. So if you get an angle like this, as an example, see how I draw it on the bottom of this line? And then this is on the right side. So this is the right side, this is the left side, right? If I draw a second angle, that's now on the left side. See how that's left, right? Whereas corresponding and co-interior are both on the same side. These are different sides. So here, they must be different sides. Now, very similar to corresponding was top with top, bottom with bottom. Alternate angles, this is what it's called. Alternate angles is outside with outside. So right here, outside with outside. And inside with inside. Now, what do I mean by outside and inside? Remember, co-interior means angles inside the parallel lines. Notice that these two angles are on the outside of the parallel lines. Okay, so this is called alternate if you have outside with outside, and they both have to be one on the left, one on the right. That's alternate. I'll give you another alternate example. Here's another alternate example. You could have inside, see how that's inside? Inside the parallel lines, but it's on the right side. So if I want it to now be an alternate angle, it needs to be over here. That's alternate. They're inside. Okay, so left, right, these two are alternate, but they're alternate inside. There's a special name for it. They call it alternate exterior for outside and alternate interior for inside. Okay, but just to help you guys, or easier, just call it alternate angles. Okay, but inside versus inside, outside versus outside. But you notice that in each angle, the one's on the left, one's on the right. Cool, that's why it's under the column, different. They have to be on different sides. So if it is an alternate angle, then both angles are equal. It means that if this was 30 degrees, this one will also be 30 degrees too. If this angle up here was 150 degrees, then that means this angle down here has to be 150 as well. Okay, so outside with outside are the same. Inside with inside are the same. Okay, how do you know it's alternate? They have to be on opposite sides. Okay, one's on left, one's on right. Cool? So if you understood corresponding, can you see how corresponding is somewhat similar? It's top with top, bottom with bottom, but they have to be on the same side. So yellow with yellow, blue with blue, purple with purple. Yeah, so bottom, bottom, top, top, bottom, bottom. Yeah, so they're both on the left, both on the right. Whereas an alternate angle, it's outside, outside, but one's on the left, one's on the right. So they have to be on different sides. Cool? So these two are very similar. And then the reason why I organized these two on the bottom, because these two are the easiest ones to remember. This one, co-interior, interior means inside, so it has to be inside the parallel lines, and they both have to be on the same side. So 120, 60. And that one, whatever this angle is, must add to this to be supplementary. Okay? Now the last one, which we learnt yesterday, is called vertically opposite. Here's a transversal line again. And remember yesterday I said every time you get a intersection of two lines, see that? There's one intersection at this point, so I'm going to color it. This is one intersection. Then you also have another intersection. We know that opposite angles at the intersection are equal. So what am I trying to say? In this transversal line, this angle here, see it's on the right side, is equal to the one on the left side, but it has to be directly opposite to each other, right at the intersection. Okay, don't confuse this with alternate. Alternate was different. So if you look at alternate, they're not directly opposite each other. They're like outside and outside, inside and inside. But vertically opposite, on the other hand, is right at where the intersection is. So if you can find the intersection of two lines, there is a vertically opposite property there. Okay, so if I zoom in, these two are vertically opposite. Okay, one's on the right, one's on the left. These two are vertically opposite. So I'll color in blue. One's on the left, one's on the right. Directly opposite one another. Okay? Same thing with this one. Here's an intersection down here. So I could also have this angle here is on the left. Then you also have the direct opposite angle is equal. Okay, so this one I'm going to color in yellow, yellow, and yellow. That's vertically opposite. There's one last one right here, which I'll color in red or purple. These two are vertically opposite. So always find the intersection. If you can find the intersection, that's vertically opposite. That's why vertically opposite is the easiest one to find. Then co-interior is the second easiest one, because interior means inside. So you just look at them. One's opposites. They're on different sides. That one's interior. Has to be on the same sides. Co means the same thing. Corresponding or co-interior. They both start with a CO. So they have to be on the same sides. This will help you. This chart will help you remember the four types. Okay, so once you fill out the charts, let's go. So they have to be on one, different sides. It's where both lines intersect. So you always look for that intersection. Opposite angles are equal. If it is vertically opposite, then both angles are, I guess I write equal. There we go. Have a quick note, because I'm going to get you to refer to those notes. I'm going to do some examples. I'm going to draw some parallel lines, and I'm going to ask you which angles are vertically opposite, which angles are alternate, which angles are corresponding. The first skill in exercise 2B is to identify. You have to be able to identify which property. Okay, here we go. Let's see if you can identify. So you don't need to copy this down. I just want you to look at your notes and look at the example here. Let's look at the first one. A. Look at angle A and B. First question you ask, is it on the same side or is it on the different side? They're different. Now, if they're different, there are only two types. Look at your notes. No, two types. If they're different, so look at your different column. Under your different column, which two types could it be? You could either be alternate or... No, co-interior has to be on the same side. Yeah, remember? So it has to be same side.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So they're different. Now, if it's different, you only have alternate versus vertically opposite. There's only two. So you got a 50-50 chance of getting this right now. Which one is it? Is it alternate angle or is it vertically opposite? Now, vertically opposite needs to be at the intersection. Now, if you look at A and B, there are two different intersections. That's an intersection up here. This is an intersection on the bottom. It can't be vertically opposite. Angle B and angle A are two different points. So it cannot be vertically opposite. Then you got to check. Sometimes the questions might even be neither. So it's not even the properties. Let's check if it's alternate. Now, alternate, if you look at your notes, it is outside with outside, inside with inside. So if you look at this, is A inside or outside of the parallel lines? Inside. So this is inside. Is B inside or outside? Inside. So this ticks off, it is alternate. It's alternate interior because both of them are inside. but they're both on the opposite sides. Had they been on the same side, then Attila would have been correct. Had A been over here, so if A was over here and that was B, they're both on the same side and they're both inside the parallel lines, then he's correct to say it's co-interior. But because they're not, A's on the other side, A's on the left side, and B's on the right side, it had to either be alternate or vertically opposite. So here, A and B are alternate angles. Okay, so the answer for A is alternate. Now, if they are alternate, are the angles the same or supplementary or different? What is it? A and B are the same. Very good. So angle A, whatever it is equal to angle B. Okay, so if this was 30 degrees, this would also be 30 degrees. Try the next one. Let's look at B. Find the parallel lines. You got your transversal line. Then you ask yourself, is A and B on the same or different side? If it's same, there's only two. There's only two types. If it's on the same side, give me the two types. Let's go, Yi Chen. What two types could it be? If it's on the same side, it could either be it's either co-interior or corresponding. Very good. So you got a 50-50 chance again. So the first question helps you shrink down from 4 options down to 2 options. Yeah? So is it the same or different? If it's on the same, it's co-interior or corresponding. Now you look at these two. Let's have a look. Where's the parallel lines? These are my parallel lines. Here's my transversal line. Now if you look at it, if you tilt your head a bit and you look at it, A is on the bottom of the first line and B is on top of the second line. So they can't be corresponding because they're not doing the same things. So it's co-interior because inside the parallel lines. See how they're both inside the parallel lines? So these are my two parallel lines. It's inside, so it must be co-interior. Now, we said before in your notes, if it's co-interior, what do we know about A and B? They must be supplementary. Means they must add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so whatever A is, if A was 150, then B must be 30. Can't be the same. Okay, so they must add up to 180. So A plus B. Let's do another one. Let's look at C. Same question. So to reduce from 4 options down to 2 options, your goal is to identify, is it on the same side or different side of the transversal line? So here we go. Let's look at C. Is A and B on the same side of the transversal line or on different sides? Same or different? Same or different? Hands up for same. Hands up for different. Okay. It's actually on the same side. And the key part here is, have a look. So these are my two parallel lines. Where's your transversal line? Here's your transversal line. So if you cut it in half, can you see this is the left side, that's the right side. See that? This is left, right, because you cut it in half, right? So there's the top half, bottom half. So are they on the same side? Yes, they are. Both of the angles are on one side of the transversal line. There's nothing on this side. See that? So once they're the same, there's only 2 options. If it's on the same side, there's only 2 options. Which 2 could it be? That's right. It's either corresponding or co-interior. And remember I said co-interior is the easiest one. So if these are your 2 parallel lines, you need them both to be inside, inside the parallel lines. You can see A is inside, B's not. So it can't be co-interior, but it might be corresponding. Don't jump to the gun and say it's definitely corresponding. You got to check. See how A is below that first line, and on the second line, it's also below. So bottom with bottom, top with top. This one is definitely corresponding. If they are corresponding angles, it means that the angles are the same. So whatever A is, if it was 40 degrees, then B would also be 40 degrees. Okay, so A must equal to B if it's corresponding. So it has to be corresponding. Okay, so that's the first skill for today. For today, that's the first skill. When you're doing the fluency skills, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Wait, no, maybe 10 minutes. Let's make it 10 minutes. I want you to have a go. Question 1, I'm going to pick out 6 different students. have a go at just identifying what type of the 4 types. There are 4 types there. I just want you to tell me which type it is. Okay, so you got 6 examples. You can do all 6. Do it right now. You've got 10 minutes. It's 12:47. Once you do that, then we'll follow on with the extra notes. Okay, so we're going to pause the video. And it is now recording again. All right. So yeah, 10 minutes to identify the type of parallel properties. Let's go with the first one. Attila's gone. So who would like to go with the first one? Hands right up. All right, let's go with Ignore. What is the first one? It is alternate. Let's see. Is A and B on the same side? No, they're different. And inside. Yes, that is correct. Give yourselves a tick. If you got it right, they are alternate angles. You're right there, Matteo? Ooh. Do you need a piece of paper or something? I've got paper. Use paper to dry it. All right. Next one, B. Let's go, team. We're on to B. Is B... What is B? Can I please have... Let's go with Charlotte. What did you get? Corresponding. First you check, is A and B on the same side? Yes, they are. They're both on the right side of the transversal line. And that is on the top of the first line. Thanks, team. Please don't speak while I'm speaking. It's one of those exercises that I know it's tricky. That's why I wanted you to pay attention. We good? All right. So B, A is on the top of the first line, and also B is also on top of the second line. So yes, this is corresponding because both of them are on the same side of the transversal line. Both are on the right side. Next one, C. What did you get your answer for C? Let's go with Xavier. What is C? What'd you get? Co-interior. Let's check. For it to be co-interior, they need to be on the same side. So if you look at transversal line, cuts them out. Left and right. Thank you. Don't whisper while I'm whispering. A's on the left. B's on the left. But they're both also inside the parallel line. So yes, they are both co-interior. That means angle A plus angle B must add up to 180 degrees. Matteo, please check your answers as well, instead of looking at Xavier and Hamza. Thank you. It's one way to check if you understand it, that's why. So if you're not doing it, at least copy it down so that you know. Otherwise, if you're not copying and you're not engaging, well, then you just don't know. And then you'll say, I don't know how to do this. Okay, so copy it down. D. So D, this is what we were doing before. So let's pick it up. D, can I please have, let's go with person on that side over there. Let's go, Jacob. Corresponding, let's check. So Jacob believes it's corresponding. Here's the transversal line. Okay, I can see that there's a top side and there's a bottom side. So clearly, thanks, team. Please don't speak while I'm speaking. That's the third time I'm saying this. I find it highly disrespectful. Matteo. No. When you say sorry, you mean it. You don't just say it just to shrug it off. It's disrespectful. We already know my rules. Don't speak while I'm speaking. I find it highly disrespectful that you have to sing or speak in the moment that I'm speaking. Why that moment? Why not when I finish speaking? But why in that moment? That's a choice you made. And that's the same for everyone else who's whispering as well. That's a choice you made, that you specifically wanted to talk while I'm speaking. Not when I finish, during. That's how disrespectful that action is. I'm not saying you're disrespectful. I'm saying the action that you chose to do in that moment is disrespectful. From what I've seen, I believe you're all respectful. So make the choice. Make a correct one. Be a better person. Here we go. Exercise D, Jacob said he believes it's corresponding. Let's check. So here's the transversal line. It cuts it up, and I can see there's a top half and there's a bottom half. Then you ask yourself, is A and B on the same side of that half? Yes, they are. They're both on the same side. They're both on the bottom. So it's either corresponding or co-interior. But co-interior means they both have to be inside the parallel lines. Here's your parallel lines. A is definitely inside. but B's not. So it can't be co-interior. So Jacob's on the right track at the moment. Let's check. For it to be corresponding, you can see this is on the right side of the first line. B is also on the right side of the second line. That's corresponding. Whatever one does, the other one does the same. That's corresponding. So yes, Jacob is correct. This is corresponding. Let's go with E. What'd you get for E? Let's go in the back row. Zara Jones. What'd you get for E? Co-interior. Well done. Again, same thing. Find the transversal line. It splits it up with top half, bottom half. So A and B's are clearly on the same side. So it's either co-interior or corresponding. And then you ask yourself, are the two angles inside the parallel lines? Because if it is, it's co-interior. And yes, it is. It's within the two parallel lines. So yes, this is co-interior. That means A plus B has to be supplementary. Has to add up to 180. Last one. Let's go with the front row. Let's go with Ollie. What'd you get for F? Zoom in. Yes. Looks like you just did it just now and you did get it correct as well. So, same thing. How do we check if he's correct? See that transversal line that cuts the parallel lines? You got a top half, you got a bottom half. Clearly, A and B's are in the different region. So it has to either be alternate or vertically opposite. Check the vertically opposite property. Has to be where the intersection is. Clearly, A is on one intersection and B is on a different intersection. So it can't be vertically opposite. So it must not be vertically opposite. What you have left is maybe it's alternate. Check it. A is on the inside of the parallel lines and B is also on the inside of the parallel line. So both of them are inside. So inside with inside. And they're both on different sides of the transversal line. So hence, Ollie was correct. Okay, so that's the first skill. You have to be able to identify it to then solve it. Because if you identify it wrong, then the solving is wrong. Yeah? Here we go. Let's go back to your notes. Flip over to your next page. So in your notes, take your page again. Flip over. Let's do some examples. Actually, we just did this one. Let's do this one. Here we go. Example 2. And that's it for today. All right, let's begin. Example 2. Second half of your sheet. All right, we ready? 3, 2, 1. And I'm still hearing someone chatting. Let's give it a moment and let's start. You said sorry before. It means something, otherwise you're just lying. Yeah? Got to be a man of your words. Otherwise no one's going to believe you. So mean it. Here we go. Example 2A. If we have a look at this example here, this is where there's so many different angles. For you to solve, you have to start identifying them. Pick two. Pick 2 different angles and test which one it is. Now I can see 70 if I pick this angle and the angle B. There's something that's very obvious about 70 and B. They are both right at where the intersection is. They're both on different sides of the transversal line. Can you see that? This is your parallel line, and this is your transversal line. See that? That's your transversal line. One's on the right side, and one's on the left side. So it must either be alternate or vertically opposite. Now, it can't be alternate because this is inside the parallel lines, and this is outside the parallel lines. So it can't be alternate, but it can be vertically opposite. They are directly vertically opposite each other right now at the intersection. So right at this intersection, they're directly opposite one another. So that means B must equal to 70. Very good, because both angles have to be the same. So B must be 70 degrees. So I use vertically opposite to figure that one out. Next one, pick another 2 angles that you can start working with. You can see B and C. If we worked with B and C now, B's here, C's here. Here's your transversal line again. And you can see that B and C are on the same side of the transversal line. So it can either be co-interior or it can be corresponding. It's one of the 2. check for co-interior because that's the easiest one to see. Inside the parallel lines, also inside the parallel lines. So these two must be co-interior. But if they're co-interior, how do you find C again?
Doesn't have to be the same.
Doesn't have to be the same. It has to be supplementary. It has to add up to 180. And you can kind of tell from the diagram, one's obtuse and one's an acute angle, so they can't be the same. So 70, this must be 110. Because they have to add up to 180. Do you see what I mean? So if you can't identify, you can't solve. You have to be able to identify what type. Next one. So we've got B, we've got C now. Now you can look for A in many different ways because you've got so many different angles here. If I looked back at 70, and I compared it to A, 70 and A are on the same side of the transversal line. They're both on this side. So it's either corresponding or co-interior. But you can already see this is inside, but that's not. But are they corresponding? Yes, they are. This is on the top of the second line. This is on the top of the first line. So they're both corresponding. Now, if they're corresponding, that means both of the angles must be the same. So that's same with same. Or you could have looked at these two. They're alternate, interior, so 70 and 70. Or you could have done straight line angle. 110 plus 70 must be supplementary. So there's a lot of ways to get your answer, but you have to be able to identify which type it is. That's the challenge. Okay, so you can go from this kind of example to, if you look at the challenge or enrichment section. Yeah, but you can do it. If you do it slowly and find parallel lines, look for the transversal. It is possible to do. Okay, so when you feel confident, then you get to that. But to start off with, problem solving's here. Fluency is here. So this is what we were doing. Practice this. Do some problem solving. Once you get the gist of this and you look at parallel lines, you can then do, Matteo, can you stop that? Thank you. That there is problem solving. That's enough to challenge most of you. And then if you feel more confident, these ones here is just drawn differently. Just a lot of lines to confuse you. But if you take your time and find parallel lines, okay, you isolate them. So for example, if I did this, I did that line, and then I did this line because they're parallel, you've got the same angles. Here's a transversal line. Then you can then solve for parts. So you can find out that's 146. This angle must be co-interior. So that must be 34. Okay, so then you can start breaking apart and then solve, but break them into pieces. Okay, don't look at it as a whole, because if you look at it as a whole, it's very confusing. Okay, so try to break them individually. Find the transversal line, then it's more possible to solve. Okay, so this is only once you're feeling very confident. But right now, I want you to, most of you got this step, identifying, and this is what you're going to work with now. Okay, so remember, by the end of this week, I'm only expecting 2A. I don't expect 2B. By the end of next week is 2B. Okay, so take your time to learn 2B. It's one of the more difficult ones. All right, thank you, team. I'm going to stop the video.